Hey guys, what's up? This is Cody from CJTV, and what I was gonna say before I got accidentally cut out was two things. First of all, I decided to name my talks Cody's Commentary, and then I want to talk about a play called High Cotton, which was written by Dennis and Nan Ellen, and I decided to name you all the characters and from the play and who played them from my Leah homeschool group and what I remember most from the play itself. I did the play about a year ago, I believe. I still have the overalls that I wore for that. Anyway, alright, so the first characters that we're gonna see is the Newsies, 1, 2, and 3. They sell the news because, see, back in the old days, back in the 20s, because this is based during the Great Depression, or the beginning part of it, they're supposedly telling about what happened and whatnot. Like, they're an important part for sure. The funny part is, I think there was actually 4 of them, I believe. The first, wait a minute, no, there was actually, I'm trying to remember, yeah, there were 4 of them, actually. One was played by Emily, and then there was Jason, who was involved in a scene later on with me and a friend of mine, a friend and I. Forget my English is bad right now, and then I cannot remember the other 2, but they were an important part because they're basically setting up the scene for what was going on during that time, because it was right near the Great Depression. So anyway, they were definitely very important. And also, by the way, on this, after I'm done telling you the order, I'm gonna basically go back and review what was really important to me, and then later on I am gonna try to get some friends and maybe my brother to talk about what their favorite part was and who they thought did the best. Anyway, Reverend Fletcher, a refined, distinguished pastor. This was played by Marcus, who was going to college at the time, I believe. I don't know why they just couldn't find anyone else. He did a really good job in it, but it was definitely an interesting one, because he only got to do like I think 2. He was in twice. The beginning and the end of the whole play. He did okay, but I gotta admit, I don't know, I was just expecting a little bit more, I don't know, just a little more fire and brimstone type of preacher, because that type of preacher would have been prevalent during that time. Milton Sperlin, a humble middle-aged factory worker. Okay, you wonder why I had the overalls? Well, it was for that role, actually. I was the only one that went for it, but honestly, I felt like that worked out very well in the end anyway, because that turned out to be really good. So I was impressed by that. I don't think I was the greatest actor, but I definitely wasn't terrible. Florence Sperlin. Now, this was played by Tori, and it took us a while before we actually were 12. Like, we were 12 together somewhat, but we just didn't. We weren't like instant. It took us a while before we got everything done, but when we did, whew, it was good. She did a really excellent job. She knew her lines before I did. And that's saying a lot, because I was one of the first ones to So she was first. She always did a great job. Estelle Jacobs, the mother-in-law. Oh man, that was great. That was played by Laura, and the funny part is, I was the oldest out of the whole family. Okay, and everyone, and I repeat, everyone was older than Laura. Laura was like 13, I believe, and she was playing the elderly woman. That was an interesting thing, I'll tell you that much. But she did a great job. Oh man, that was great. And then last, for the Sperlin family, Bradley Sperlin. Now this was actually played by a former soccer teammate of mine whose sister goes with me to college, and he did good, but I definitely expected a lot more, because honestly I was kind of disappointed with the fact that his character wasn't as developed, perhaps. His character was developed, but it took him a while before he actually adjusted to that role. But he did a good job once he did. Hattie Davenport, a wealthy, arrogant wife of mill owner, middle age. It was actually played by a very good friend. Hold on. Got just my sleeve here. It was played by a friend of mine whose birthday comes a week before mine. She did a really, really excellent job with her role, because she sounded wealthy, she sounded arrogant, even though she was neither of them. Well, okay, she was neither of them, but she did a good job. Then her brother played as the husband, Randolph Davenport, my boss. He did a really excellent job. Those two actually worked better together before, because, well, they live in the same house. But honestly, what's so funny about this is most of the time, supposedly we were only business, like on the stage we're supposedly hating each other for most of it, but off the stage I'm friends with both of them, and there was a really close tightness, so that's what made it all funny, was because it was hard to adjust to that. And then Bonnie Davenport, that was played by the director's daughter, and man, she has one of the most gifted singing voices ever. I mean, seriously, she had a range that was it was a lot, and I was impressed beyond belief. Anyway, then comes my Bradley's two friends, Jay and Quentin. Now, the two guys they picked for them were very, very funny guys. One was Andrew. He played as Jay, I believe. He was a really good addition. But what what really happened was the other guy made it even better. Seth, who was a fellow pastor's kid. He really did an excellent job at that. Plus, he kind of had another role. He did a really excellent job in the acting. Honestly, if they had actually did Avail this year, I wouldn't be surprised if he made one of the top people, because he did a really excellent job. Alright, Shark McShane. This is a really interesting one. It's supposed to be a gangster. Guy that sells, well, liquor. And that was played by, I cannot remember his name. He's on YouTube at times with MIH Agency, the Happy Gun Sales Production Group. Oh, what's his name? Oh, I cannot remember. Look up the Valentine one with the two Canadian guys. It's the taller one, the one with the blonde hair that I'm talking about. He did an excellent job. Like, almost everyone wanted to play Shark, and I'm like, you guys are crazy. I wouldn't play Shark. Personally, I'm not gangster. As a matter of fact, I really have a bad hair. Oof. But that was a really good job. Then Sister Jordan. Now, this was more interesting than anything else. The person who played her, Michaela Young, oof, I accidentally said her last name. Well, anyway, she actually knows a few people from Hollywood that she's friends with, and I have a feeling that she could be an actress in the future. She did a really excellent job. She was loud, though, a little too loud for me, but she did a great job and can't complain. And then the policeman. This was a really interesting role because my older brother played it, and he was great. I'll tell you what, he definitely made the character. The other two did a really good job with their roles and made their character shine. My brother did the same thing. I mean, with the limited role he only had two scenes. Two. And he did fantastic. I mean, anyone that goes like that, like quickly, and say his lines, did a really, he just was great. Alright, Jenny and Amanda, the spoiled brats that are friends with Bonnie. I cannot remember both their names. One was Naomi, Emily's sister. Then the other one was, I'm trying to remember her name. Erin, I believe. Both of them did really excellent job. Erin didn't act as snotty, perhaps. It took her a while before she actually did that, but once she did, it was fantastic. They both were goofballs, so that worked out. Alright, JD. Now, this was actually the person that played this role did actually several roles. This was played by Richard, who was a senior just like me. He did a really good job on that. They did like 1920s television characters with that. Like stars and whatnot, and he did the Phantom of the Opera. If you guys know who he is, the man with the 1,000 faces, I believe. He did that role, and he was actually pretty good. I think for the Phantom of the Opera, once you take off the mask, I think it was his sister that did the makeup, if I remember correctly. It was a little strange, but whatever. Okay, Maple. Her name's on the top of my head. Tegan. That's what her name was. She did a really excellent job. I'm surprised that she got that role. Honestly, because I actually thought she was going to get a higher role. I really honestly thought she was going to. But she did a good job with what she had, and that was good. Now the photographer, I cannot remember for the life of me who the photographer was or the photographer's assistant. But then there was, but the other characters, if I remember correctly, one was a little boy who brought the beverage to Sister Jordan. That was played by, oh, I cannot remember his name. Elliot. He did a good job with the limited role he had. He was in as an extra a couple times. Honestly, I thought there was a lot. Then there was like characters like Charlie Chaplin, who was played by a guy that I really think he should have a major role. And his name is Ben. He does a great job with his stuff. And as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, on his Facebook profile, he has the thing about the Squirrel King. I want to check that out. And if he has a YouTube channel, I will subscribe to him, because he is a really good actor. He actually helped me improve on my acting skill, because before he taught me, I was not the greatest actor. But when he helped me out, I actually did a lot better, honestly. He also did a guy that watched the door, because there was one scene where the swordfish one, if you guys watched those things, that was a good. The Marx Brothers, they were in it. Let's see, Tegan's brother was in it. My friend that played as Mr. Davenport and his sister's brother was one of the talkative ones. And then there was one that was his younger brother did the newsy, and I think they were the only Catholics in the group, but that's alright. They did a great job. I'm talking about the newsy and his brother. They did excellent, so I honestly really can't complain. But honestly, I'm only touching like this is most of the reason why there's so many 20 characters is because we had to add more. I mean, we did like 2 hours worth. And that's not 2 hours, the script. It was like maybe an hour and a half. Plus having intermission. It didn't really pan out. So we needed the extra characters, which turned out actually really excellent. That was kind of the entertainment moment, if you will. The only thing I was disappointed with is I really thought they were gonna try to have President, can I remember his name? Oh, he was one of my favorite presidents too. Yeah, but I thought they were gonna have the president of that time there, but they didn't. Let's see. Honestly, like, they did songs too. There were several songs that I could say that were really good. High Life Blues was pretty decent, but the prayer meant the most to me. It really did. I mean, it was a prayer that was people were devoting themselves back to God, and that's something that I've really noticed in my life lately. I've needed to do. I've got to go back to where I start from, which means I need to start depending on God more. And sorry about the redness on my nose. If you can't tell, I'm a little sick. Anyway, wow, funny. I didn't really notice until I mentioned it. The first, honestly, should I take you to see my scene? Well, I should. The first one, which is before the crash happens. Oh, President Hoover. Actually, this is when the thing happens. President Hoover. That's who it was. Okay. He was in this, it's Sunday and it's church, of course. Reverend gets done talking, and honestly, if the people were listening, they could have honestly avoided a lot of trouble, but they didn't. Oh, holy crap. Man, sorry guys, I'm really sorry. But the first scene, Estelle, the crazy mother-in-law, talks about how bad the rich people are. Occupy Wall Street sound familiar to anyone? Well, that's just what it sounds like to me. Some people in this town need to hear as often as they can. Too bad that the people that were in this scene, which was the Sperlin family, too bad they couldn't get a hold of it. Let's see. Now here comes the rich people who do the complete. They do the same thing, for crying out loud. Okay. It didn't turn off. I thought I did for a second there. They seem to. Mrs. Davenport talks about the. Hold on. Ugh. Oh man. Dang it. Ugh. Oh, you know those commoners who seem to glory in their low state of life. And then it talks about reveling in their low lifestyle. And then, I don't know why Mr. Davenport talks about Sigmund Freud. Outlets, what is Sigmund Freud doing in here? He's about as stupid as they get. Anyway, let's see. And then we have the scene where everyone leaves except for Bradley, Jay, and Quentin. And they get this conversation going. Now, with each scene, let me talk about the first scene. With our family and then the other family. It took a while for the correct handshake for some reason. I don't know why. It just... When we were shaking hands, timing seemed to be a little bit off, but we eventually got that done. That scene actually took a little bit longer. It didn't take as long as a few others. But then they talk about the they talk about all the stuff about Rich and whatnot. And then when Jay and Quentin leave, Bonnie and Bradley have this conversation, and I really thought they were gonna this was the beginning of a relationship, technically, if you want to call it that, because she's like, oh my goodness, this is swell. And then it's like, come on, seriously, anyway. They sound like they are actually getting... They're gonna date, and then it plummets. Alright, the next scene is basically... the Sperlin family. This was actually a really interesting one, because we were pretending to eat from plates, and they had no food whatsoever. But, by the time that we actually got to the actual thing, this is when Tori and I did really well, because she picked up, because we acted like a couple. That's what was so great about it. And no, we are not dating, so forget that out of your mind right now, because anyway, then we talk about pride. Like I say, yeah, I'm just glad we're hardworking, God-fearing people don't have to worry about pride. Ruh-roh. And we're saying that money brings pride, which is true. But listen to what Bradley says. You're talking like only rich people have pride. Ooh, so Occupy Wall Street? You got wrong. The problem is, you thought that you wanted the money, and you wanted to be someone, so you're trying to puff up your own pride. And that's one of the reasons why I thought the Occupy Wall Street was the stupidest thing ever. Because, for once, there was no actual cause. Like, it wasn't a common goal. It was only to protest the rich, that they have so much money. It's like, you're asking the government to steal money so that way you can have it. That's not right. I'm sorry, but you have to work for your money. You can't just protest and say, oh, money comes from hard work. And if people realize that, I think we would have a lot less difficulties with all that stuff. But this is what Bradley says, something that I think really puts it to catches the tone. Anyone can store up earthly treasures, even poor working folks like us. We can be so full of ourselves that we don't see our own faults, just everyone else's. I think right there says it all. We're so busy focused on how well we're so focused on what everyone else does wrong that we don't focus on ourselves. Because if we focus on ourselves, we realize how much grief and sorrow we have. And then there was lies spread on the rumors spread on while talking table talk. That's why rumors are dangerous, folks. Because when a rumor like you know his money is really bootleg money, which was a lie actually. What happened was the Davenports worked hard for their money. They weren't actually rich. They never were. Not until they started working hard and eventually where they ended up. They just forgot. But I like what Bradley says. But we are all the same. We are all the same. Same dreams, same pride, same faults, same everything. We are really, we are messed up, and that's why we need God to help us. I mean, after all, if He didn't help us, then, and He did not take away our sin, then how would we be able to go through life? Now, I'm going to do this in a 2-part series, and I'm almost to 30, so I'm just gonna say that when you look at the actual rest of it, I would definitely recommend having the play done. You do the play, but honestly, just reflect on this. The fact is, when it comes to pride, we are all guilty of it. I mean, we're so guilty of it that we don't realize. Alright, so when I come back, I will share some of my favorite moments from this. Alright, have a great day, guys. God bless. And subscribe to CJTV Station